Hey you, welcome to Sacrilegious Discourse.
I'm husband.
I'm wife.
And together we're reading the Bible.
Starting with Genesis and eventually ending with Revelations, we're working through every book and offering our atheist 2 cents.
Or shekels.
Yeah, those. We're asking questions and pointing out all the nonsense.
We aren't academics or scholars.
Nope. In fact, when it comes to religion, we really don't know anything at all.
What we've learned so far is that God's a dick.
Oh, he really is, isn't he? If you're interested in how we reached this startling conclusion, maybe start from episode 1.
Otherwise, jump in anywhere. It's all good.
Yep.
Hey wife, we just got a new sponsor. It's Anchor. They must think we're doing something right because they picked us back up.
That's amazing! Want to hear something even more amazing?
Yeah?
I actually know what they are.
You are full of shit. I'm calling your bluff. Tell me about Anchor.
Okay, so Anchor by Spotify is the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place.
I'm actually surprised you knew that, but did you also know that Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer?
Yes, because I see you do that on your phone all the time and it looks pretty simple.
It really is, and when hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
But I use CastBox.
Yeah, darling, I know you like CastBox. It gets distributed there too, and lots of other platforms as well.
And how much are we paying for this awesome service?
Absolutely nothing.
Coolio! So then we should tell people to download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started?
Yep, do it now.
Well, hello, husband.
Hello, wife.
It is Tuesday.
It is.
Do you know what happens on Tuesday?
We do a Q&A thing?
We do. Very good. Do you know what we're queuing today?
I do.
What is it?
Not.
You dumbass.
No, I take that back. We were talking about Baal pure last time, and
We were. Yes.
I'm trying to think.
The Israelites worshipped him because they never learned.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. So we were like, who the fuck is Baal? Or, as was pointed out to us, maybe Baal?
Maybe Baal.
So we will clarify that and talk about who the fuck that is.
Oh, I did find out some interesting information too, actually.
Well,
I did some research. I just forgot that I did some research.
You dumbass.
So I got some stuff I'm going to share too.
Is it about Baal?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's about other things.
Other things.
Other things.
Okay, stay tuned for other things.
Yeah. Hey, wife.
Yes, husband.
Did you know that we are now on Patreon?
Yes, because you told me, but also, no, tell me more.
So we're on Patreon now.
Are we?
We are, and our supporters can go there and support us, and we have multiple levels all the way up to You Killed God.
That sounds really drastic and escalated quickly-ish.
Well, no, there's multiple levels before there, so it escalates on a sliding scale of, cheap to not cheap.
Oh.
But, we can definitely use any amount, so, any support is always appreciated.
So what exactly is Patreon?
It's a place where you can show your support for our podcast. And
just our podcast?
Any podcast or any performer. But, we're the ones that, you're listening to right now. So maybe you should, support us. That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome. But we love you anyway.
So all you got to do is go to Patreon, look up Sacrilegious Discourse. It's actually patreon.com/Sacrilegious Discourse is our actual main page there. So head on over and send us some love.
Yeah. Okay, so I know I am on the edge of my seat.
For other things?
Yeah, waiting to find out what are those
things?
other things.
It's not really that spectacular, but
I have to know.
I know. I didn't want to leave everybody waiting for other things. They probably wouldn't wait around for that.
Okay, so what is other things?
Okay, all right. So you remember how there was a plague?
Remember that? What? I mean,
you remember how there was a plague? Like they had
we're in a plague.
No, they had 24,000 people die in that chapter.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And you remember there was a plague in the chapter that we just read.
Bible,
in the Bible.
In the
Numbers, yeah.
Okay, if you just say, remember when there was a plague? I'm like, we're in a plague.
We're talking about the Bible.
Okay, but we're also people alive today.
But I'm not talking about people who are alive. I'm talking about really dead people.
Okay, I don't know what your other things are, so I have no idea where you're going. You talk about, do you remember the plague? And I'm like, the one we're in?
Yeah, well, no.
Okay, so not that one.
The one in the Bible. The one that we're talking about.
Okay.
Anyway.
Right.
So I did lots of research, and like nobody knows what the fuck this plague was. Like nobody. Like I went to multiple sources and tried to figure out where the fuck did this plague come from, and apparently it was something along the lines of God plagues the Israelites when they don't obey Him. And I'm like, no shit, because it happens all the fucking time. Okay,
but plague could mean more than one thing. Like right now, I am plagued with irritation by you and your other things, and
right.
You can be plagued by lice. You can be plagued by...
Yeah, but lice doesn't kill 24,000 people.
No, right. I'm just saying it doesn't always... Like, it's a very generic term, which actually kind of, interestingly enough, gets into what I was going to talk about in a minute.
Okay, I wasn't quite done yet.
I know. I'm just saying it's interesting that you're talking about that because the use of the word going more than one way.
Right. It's just that a lot of people think that this chapter was kind of pieced together from multiple things.
You mean like the whole fucking Bible?
Well, yeah, but like you remember how like there was like 23,000 people that died in the plague at some other point in like when you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so like they're like they took little bits of this chapter and little bits of that chapter and threw together another chapter is basically what it boiled down to. Yeah. Now, another interesting fact that I found, you remember how they were like the Moab women?
Yeah.
But then you remember the guy that went into the tent and then Phineas like, speared him and then the woman threw him?
Kind of.
Okay. Well, she was Midianite.
Okay.
Not Moab.
Oh.
And for a second, I was like, is that what they called the Moab people, Midianites? Like, I didn't know. I wasn't really paying close enough attention to, like, know the difference.
Right.
But two things. One, no, they are not the same people.
Okay.
The Midianites are the ones that, Balak, what the hell is his name? Balak. Balak, yeah. Balak sent for Balaam, and Balaam is Midianite.
Oh, Balak sent for Balaam.
Yeah, Balak sent for Balaam, sorry.
Okay.
So anyway, Balaam is Midianite and Balak is Moab. So that's the difference there. That's Midianite versus Moab. Now the other interesting thing is that Moses supposedly married a Midianite woman. And here there's also certain passages that say that this guy that was taking her into the tent or whatever, they were getting married. Oh. In some translations, not all translations. Oh. Some there's sexual relations, but some is just getting married. And yet, Phineas spears them through because, why? Why? There wasn't a great answer.
Oh.
There was no great answer. It was just, God was pissed. And then...
And racist, maybe?
Probably.
Or tribal at the very least, if they all look the same?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't quite figure it all out. It was like nobody wants, like, people that were religious don't want to, like, they were making up excuses for this stuff. Yeah. And then the people that weren't religious were like, what the fuck, man? What is this shit?
Got it.
And I'm kind of like, on that camp. Like, what the fuck is this shit?
Got it.
So, anyway, that's the gist of what I came up with.
So... They were different peoples, and they apparently were kind of tribal and didn't like each other, and...
Yeah, I guess.
Moses may or may not have got busy, or got married, or got busy with getting married.
Yeah, well, I mean, he probably did marry a Midianite woman. Like,
okay.
That was one of the big things, so...
Oh, well, okay.
But that was separate from this guy that was going to marry this one, and or fuck her, was Midianite.
Got it.
Whatever. It is what it is.
It's so boring.
Get on with your damn balls.
Well, okay, remember how I was like, plague can be more than one thing?
Yes.
Like, there can be a plague, and that refers to, like, an illness that befalls a large group of people.
Sure.
Versus you can be plagued by something, and that just means that, you have a lot of...
Like, Republicans are plagued with stupidity.
Oh, my God. Yes. I wasn't going there, but
Sorry,
yes.
I should clarify. Trumpers are plagued with stupidity.
Correct.
Not necessarily Republicans.
So the word Baal versus the god Baal works very similarly.
Okay.
So the word itself can either, how like the word God, if it's a capital G, you know that you're referring to that one big guy,
right?
In the clouds
that
with
one.
The beard,
yeah.
right? But with a lowercase, it could be any one number of deities,
thousands of gods,
right? That's the way Baal and Baal work. Like the word Baal originally meant owner, lord, master, husband, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So it was like a noun, and it was just used generically to mean any number of dudes, deities, lords, princes,
gotcha,
that kind of thing.
And this is completely off topic, or not completely off topic, but like in the brief things I was reading, it looked like that maybe it stood for some other things in like the Israelite, like in
yes, in different languages
uses
at
other
the
words.
same time,
right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They were used separately by different cults,
right?
Not just different tribes, different cults that worshipped differently. It meant different things.
Gotcha.
So, but that's just the noun that we're referring to.
So one God, lots of meanings.
Yes. So, but when we are talking about that one particular guy,
right, and
he has an apostrophe between the two A's,
the Baal,
and he is Baal. Okay. So I was mispronouncing it, but kind of not
That's
really.
That's like God, capital G God.
Yeah.
Baal is capital G God.
Exactly, but
Baal Peor is not necessarily capital G God?
No, he is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I was mispronouncing it, but also, I mean, the translation that I was reading did not have the apostrophe and just had it as Baal.
Right.
And so that's why I was mispronouncing it, because I looked up Baal, not Baal.
Right.
So, and even at that, like what I'm telling you is what I'm taking it to mean based on what I read, but it's still kind of iffy because there's so many different.
Right. We could probably do a whole fucking year on Baal.
Yeah, because there were so many different people using so many different lowercase and uppercase versions of his name.
Right.
Of that
word. It would
word.
definitely, at some point, if we ever get into pagan gods and stuff, it would be an interesting little bit. That
would be more than a little bit. We would be here till we died. Seriously.
But I have always been interested in pagan gods. I think that's kind of interesting stuff.
I always am super interested, and then I start to read about them and how much they overlap and swap, and two towns that are right next to each other. And then I get really in over my head, and I realize I'd have to start taking notes and making charts, and I'm like, you know what? Never mind. I'm fucking out. Just forget it.
Maybe that's where we get drunk with a some scholar person, and we just shoot the shit.
I feel like I wouldn't be able to hold my own because I would be like, okay, go, and then I would be drinking while they are elucidating.
Got it.
How interesting is that?
I don't know.
I took another shot.
I thought we'd call it drunk gods. It'd be cool.
Drunk gods. Right. So anyway, the noun itself, it denotes, when the Catholic Church is talking about it, it denotes idols, icons of the saints, or even the Catholic Church generally.
Huh.
Yeah. So again, this is such a large word.
Well, and I did see something about that. There was something where I'm thinking of something I listened to today. Never mind. It makes no sense. But there was some pagan rites that the Catholic Church. I learned this in a Throughline episode I listened to today. By NPR. And there was some pagan rites that the Catholic Church utilized quite a bit, but then the Church of England was like, nah, fuck that, we only
some pagan rites.
Yeah,
not
so
those
they tossed a lot of that shit out the window.
But not all of it.
Right, but the Catholic Church was actually very into, from what I understand, was very into pagan rites.
Oh, that's pretty much what the Catholic Church is.
Yeah, they wrote a lot of that in there.
They were like Christ with the Druids.
Right, yeah.
If you think about it, okay, this is way off topic, but if you think about it, the Druids were very much into Mother of the earth, that kind of thing. Like, they were very women driven.
Right.
And the Catholics just rolled that right into their stuff, and that's where we get Mother Mary.
Right.
So, sure. I mean, the whole thing is very Druidistic and pagan. So, whatever.
Gotcha.
I thought this was interesting. Baal appears about 90 times in the Hebrew Bible in reference to various gods.
Huh.
Yeah. So
it's kind of their placeholder for pagan god? Is that basically...
Well, it depends. It's their placeholder for several different pagan gods, but not... Like, several different specific pagan gods.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right.
So if you're just talking about, like, some pagan gods, then you would say Baal. But if you were talking about there was this pagan god Baal and there was that pagan god Baal, you see what I'm saying? It's just, it's very confusing because you don't know who they're talking about at any one given time.
Well, and it's just funny to me, like, in all the times that I've ever been around Christianity, Christians, etc., you don't hear about other, quote-unquote, other gods, right?
Right.
Like, this is not something that's covered in your general everyday stuff. So, like...
And it should be.
It should be. Like, this is all part of the Bible. It's actually pretty... Like, 24,000 people died in this chapter.
Right. Right.
Israelites.
Yeah.
God's people died in this chapter in which they reference another god. Like, I mean, it just... Why isn't this stuff mentioned more? Like, they're scared of it. They're scared to mention it because it doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like.
It's the same reason that they can't read Harry Potter because, no, seriously, like, their faith in their God is so tiny, like their little dicks, that it holds no weight. Either you have faith or you don't. If you have faith, you don't need to worry about Voldemort.
Right. That's true.
So, okay, but who was Baal of this chapter that we were reading? He liked
sex, apparently.
He was a fertility deity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got that one on the nose, huh?
Yeah, but he had several other titles, which I have noted.
Okay.
Okay, he was Prince Lord of the Earth. Okay. He was also called the Lord of Rain and Dew.
Okay.
And, also Lightning and Wind. Sound like anybody you know?
Well, I saw again, I didn't research him, but I was in the same chapters, and like I saw them compare him to Zeus. So.
Yes, and we're getting there.
Got it.
We're getting there. Yes, that is who he reminds me
of.
Got it,
yeah.
He is also either synonymous with or fought and won, depending on which you read, Hadad, who was a storm god, called He Who Rides on the Clouds.
Okay.
Also Zeus.
Yeah.
He was also called the Shaman, Lord of the Heavens. Okay. I thought I like this one. Sometimes he assumed the name Beelzebub in demonology.
Ooh, yeah. I like that because that Good Omens show that we watched where they reference Beelzebub.
Yeah. I
like that.
So this part is also cool. He held special enmity against snakes, meaning he hated snakes. Kind of like Indiana Jones.
Well, and God. Well, God kind of like dissed snakes too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he didn't like them just as they were, but he also did not like them because they were representatives of Yam or Yamu, not to be confused with Dormammu. Dormammu.
Don't worry, I'm just confused, not confusing them with Dormammu. But,
right. So Yam or Yamu was the sea and river god from whom maybe Baal seized his divine kingship, depending who you asked that day back then.
I would love to have been there for this godly wars that were going on at some point in time.
Speaking of godly wars, he was locked in mortal combat with Mot.
Get over here.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat. Mot, the god of death and sterility. And, okay, so like they lived in the desert or whatever, and so water was, we've just referred to him multiple times as
their buckets were overflowing.
Okay, shut up. As the god of rain and dew and all that, right? Okay. And fertility god and all that, right?
Sure.
So he was locked in combat with Mot, the god of death and sterility. Sorry.
Okay.
And so those two, in some cults, were locked in battle on a 7-year cycle, and they would trade off, and if there was a year of famine, then that meant Mot had won, and Baal was in the underground.
Interesting.
Yeah, or the underworld, not the underground.
Well, it's interesting they're on a 7-year cycle because the Israelites do the 7-year cycle with that whole slave thing and that was.
And that's how long it takes your trees to grow and before you're allowed to pick at them and whatever.
So the 7-year cycle is very important to many cultures apparently. So
yes. Now if he won. And it was, good rainy season. That meant that Mot was in the underworld.
Okay.
And had been defeated.
Gotcha.
These particular thoughts were worshipped by solar cults. Solar meaning sun, meaning they were worshiping sun gods. So Baal also was some form of a sun god, in addition to being the.
He just
he was all over the fucking place.
He was he's like, I'm the god of just about everything. So
yeah.
He sounds a lot more powerful than Yahweh.
Well, okay, so let's keep talking. So he sired a divine bull calf from a heifer.
Okay. A divine bull calf.
Much like Zeus.
Okay.
Because he was Zeus.
Got it.
So, okay, this, I have to just read this sentence straight because I can't sum this up, okay?
Okay.
Through the influence of the Aramaeans, who borrowed the Babylonian pronunciation Bel, the god ultimately became known as the Greek Balos, identified with, Zeus.
Huh.
So they are one and the same, depending on, again, who you ask what day.
Okay.
So the Babylonians...
all gods are just filtered stories of some other bullshit story from some other bullshit story.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the line, millennia ago.
Exactly.
Okay.
So here's where I'm going to end it. So you know how I told you he's mentioned 90 some odd times?
Yeah.
As various deities, depending, this Baal guy, that Baal guy.
Right.
So, okay, in the book of Kings, we're going to hear about, when we get to that part of the Bible, there's going to be a story where Baal and Yahweh are in battle against each other.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, to see who wins. And Baal failed to light his follower's sacrifice.
Oh, damn.
But Yahweh's heavenly fire burnt Elijah's altar to ashes.
Oh, man.
Even after it had been soaked with water.
Damn.
Yeah. And so...
Baal fucked up, man.
Baal did not come through, so Yahweh's followers were like, boom! And so then they killed Baal's followers. They killed the cult that was following him.
Right.
And then after that, it started to rain, which even further proved that Yahweh got this. Yeah. So the king
Just
of
think what a different
rain,
world we would have lived in if Baal would have won that, huh?
I know, right?
Yeah. It's weird to even imagine.
I don't know. I mean, considering that they're the same guy, it's kind of hard to...
Yeah, I know.
I'm kind of at a loss for words because I'm like...
It's the same guy and it's not the same guy.
Right.
It's the same guy that got branched off somewhere else down the line.
Right.
And became something else. That's all.
Exactly. But ultimately, they're all the same guy.
And now they're fighting themselves in a 2,000-year-old comic book called the Bible.
Exactly. I think that is where we end it.
All right. Sounds great. We will see you guys on Thursday for our next regular episode, which would be...
Numbers chapters 26 and 27.
All right. We'll see you guys then.
Yep.
So that ends this week's Q&A.
If you have questions, answers, or comments, please email them to us by next Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern, to be included in next Tuesday's Q&A episode.
Awesome. See ya.
Bye.